Okay, I got a few more people to emit.
Go right ahead. Just so you know, Sue, some of our people are couples, so 2 people for the price of 1. So
Okay.
we make a few announcements prior to having you start at about 7:15,
Okay.
and take your time. I will introduce you, and then we have some questions that have been submitted. I would say 50% of them pertain to the canyon, and then the others are kind of general city questions, different topics you probably will find familiar.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Sure.
So Mayor Kemp, do you follow college basketball?
I do.
Oh, so who are you rooting for?
I kind of want Kansas. It's been a while since Kansas won. How about you?
No, I played basketball in high school, but I think they all cheat anymore. If I had a whistle in my mouth watching a basketball game, all I do would be tweet, tweet, tweet. You know,
Oh, you mean like
traveling,
traveling,
palming the ball.
turning the ball over high,
That's
bouncing
right.
too high?
That's not the way I was taught.
Me either. No, I just die when I see them carry the ball like that over the top of the, it just, I always go, that's traveling, that's carrying the ball. Nope, they never call it.
well, how
But
about
they
those
are quite
cheerleaders?
Yeah.
Cheerleaders are saving the games these days. Come on. I was a basketball cheerleader. So,
I grew up in Indiana. If you couldn't shoot a basketball by the time you were 5, you were an outcast.
most people I know are rooting for Indiana. So, speaking of basketball, Sue, you were a coach at the Boys and Girls Club for several years.
I
huh?
was.
Just the boys, or?
Just the boys. I tried to coach the girls, but they didn't have any room on the team, the coaching room for the girls, because all the dads were coaching. And on the boys, they had a couple, they needed some help, so I helped them for a few years. It was really fun.
Bet. So how are we doing, Jean, on admitting everybody? Are they still straggling in?
Well, sometimes I don't pay attention, but everybody, there's no one in the waiting room at this time.
Okay. Okay. Well, I would like to make a few announcements and let people know what's happening with Laguna Canyon Conservancy. But I would like to make a sad announcement first. For those who haven't heard, we lost Bonnie Haino this morning. And it's been coming for a while, but it's still very sad to lose the second half of a great, dynamic duo. And so that was the sad news today to report, and the loss for Laguna Canyon Conservancy, as for all of Laguna. So I'll just let people know that we have no idea at this point, if there'll be a memorial service. It probably will be something kind of low key. So that being said, we are moving in the direction of having an in-person meeting in May, and we will have final details worked out. We are hoping to have it in an outside venue like the Sawdust Festival grounds, perhaps. So I can't promise you, exactly the details at this point or tell you them, but we will be sending you obviously notices as soon as we can to keep you all in the loop, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for getting together. I think it's time. So we had a survey that went out to all of our contact list. John Levitt helped us with that. We had about 29 people respond, which is pretty good actually, given our numbers. So we were able to come up with a number of items or issues that the people that responded were most concerned about. And I will just say that the the most important question that people responded to was the open space ordinance needing to be revised and renewed. So I think we'll have more focus on some of these items that people responded to. So, and with that being said, is there anyone who wanted to make an announcement for the membership at this point? You want to raise your hand or let us know? Mary, okay. Mary needs to unmute herself.
Okay, am I all right?
Yep.
Okay, just a reminder that May 11th, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we will be having the Coastal Greenbelt Authority meeting. And if the world behaves, we'll be having it at the City of Laguna Woods Council Chambers. I represent this organization on that authority. Gail always gets an agenda, and a number of the rest of you get agendas too, but just to know, it's coming up Wednesday, May 11th, 3 o'clock.
Thank you, Mary. I did attend the last meeting. It was quite informative and it was a great learning experience, and to hear all that's going on. Mary rides shotgun over a group of a lot of moving parts. That's all I can say. So thank you for that. So, all right, is it anyone else that has an important announcement they want to share with the group? Okay, if not, I would like to maybe just give a little introduction for our guest of honor, the Mayor of Laguna Beach, Sue Kempf. And most of you know that she was elected first in 2018 to the City Council. Prior to that, she served almost 5 years on the city's Planning Commission, 3 years as chair of the Emergency Disaster Preparedness Committee, and was a graduating member of the first CERT class, and participated on the council assigned committee, which created the current View Preservation Ordinance. She was unanimously elected mayor this past December and is carrying on running quite interesting meetings. Her council assignments include board member positions on the Laguna Canyon Foundation, the Laguna Beach County Water District, the Festival of Arts, and as well as being a liaison to the Arts Commission, Recreation Committee, and South Laguna Water District Advisory Member. So in Sue's professional background, she was 3 years as president of Miriam Technologies Dosimetry. Okay, maybe you'll explain what that is. And 28 years in the wireless communication industry. And that I understand. So as we talked about a little bit before, she was a coach for boys basketball at the Boys and Girls Club for several years. Her education background is a Bachelor of Arts in Business from National University, in addition to some other colleges along the way, and an MBA from the University of Redlands. So she enjoys life here in Laguna with her spouse Cheryl, and has her many friends around town, and is very busy, as we know. So with that being said, Sue, we appreciate, as I said, you being here, and we look forward to what you're going to give us for information.
Okay, thank you, Gail, and good to see everybody. So I've got some slides to show you, and then just you have some questions to ask me, but let's be casual. Ask anything that you're interested in. I'll try to answer as best I can.
Well, Madam Mayor, we're very casual. So I'm the Zoom master, and for you to show slides, I have to make you the host.
Okay.
Which I will do now.
Okay.
I can figure out how to do it here. Let's see.
In the meantime, I'll get my presentation ready.
Okay. And then, but you have to promise to give it back sometime.
I'll gladly give it back.
Okay, right. Okay, so you're now the host.
Okay, thanks.
And if somebody pops in the waiting room, you have to let them in.
I'm getting overwhelmed with my responsibilities.
Well, I said we're casual.
Okay, now I need to just share my screen here. And I'm going to, this thing is not letting, hang on 1 second here. I got the presentation, no problem. Can you share my screen or do I need to share it for you? Gene?
I think you need to do it. Host
hang on.
disabled, let's see, host disabled participant screen.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm
Try
gonna do
try
it.
it again. Try it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it a different way. Hang on a second here. No problem. Okay. I'm gonna share my screen and then I'm going to get this thing. Move this over. Okay, can you see that?
No,
How about now?
nope.
Okay. Gene, are you sure you gave me permission to share my screen? Because I got it right here. I shared my
Okay, wait a
screen.
second. You're on. I see a nice photo of you with the Aztec seal behind you.
Okay. All right, now let me get to full mode here. Okay, and I am going to move you guys over here a little bit. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I need to get rid of you guys here. Okay, so the first thing is I was asked about this and we actually talked about this at our strategic planning session. I've been working with Hallie Jones on this as well from Laguna Canyon Foundation, and that is to get these parcels rezoned, properly rezoned. So the city, purchased these several open space parcels in the canyon using Prop 12 funding. And we've asked that we initiate the process now to rezone. There's about 22 parcels that have to be rezoned from RHP, which is residential hillside protection, to open space. So that's actually on our work plan for this year. And so we'll be doing that. But any zoning changes, there's any zoning amendment changes, we just have to make sure if there's any, thing that we need to do from a wildfire safety improvement standpoint or anything that has to do with fuel mod or undergrounding. But it looks like, we'll get this done, and I think within about 6 months. So I'm pretty optimistic based on the fact it's on our work plan that we'll get it done. Next thing is the watercourse mapping of Laguna Canyon and the city. And I also noted that it's on our, Penny Milne and I talked about this, it's on our Laguna Canyon planning study document. So this is on our list to do. And this is kind of a long time, it's been sitting out there a long time. So it looks like we're gonna get to it. I hopefully by the end of this year, by the end of this calendar year. A couple other things I don't have slides on, but I did want to bring up for the Laguna Canyon Foundation. I've been on the board. This is my 4th year now. It's a great organization. I really enjoy serving with these guys. But we had a dedication of $1 million from the Michael and Tricia Burns. Now it's called the Laguna Canyon Preserve, the Burns Family Preserve. Well, it's called the Burns Canyon Preserve. And it's just a wonderful donation. I think, Hallie will have be a very good steward of the funds there, meant primarily to kind of revive the canyon, revigorate the, natural environment there, and also to take care of our new headquarters. So if you haven't been to the new Laguna Canyon Foundation headquarters there, the Burns Canyon Preserve, it's wonderful. Hallie and her team have done a great job with it. It's really a beautiful building. It really serves the foundation well. It's great if anybody wants to come and visit. If you want to get a tour, you should do so. Hallie and her team would be happy to take you. It's quite impressive. I'm really proud of these guys and all the work that they've done. Next thing I wanted to bring up too is on the Laguna Canyon planning study. So I wasn't on the council at the time when this was passed through the council, but the last action taken on the Laguna Canyon planning study, there were kind of three elements that were being looked at. One was, these are kind of action items. One is a design guidelines document, and it was supposed to be worked on in 18 and 19 and probably finished up at the end of 19, but because of pandemic, I don't think anybody even started working on it. The second part was the watershed, major watershed and drainage courses map, which I just talked about. We will be working on that this year. And then the last one was Laguna Canyon annexation area specific plan and the Sarah Thurston Park specific plan update and municipal code update. So I asked Sheree about this actually last week, and we've got to put resources against that to get this thing going. It's about time we get this done. We were, I think, planned to have it off to coastal in September of 2023, but we haven't started yet. So, we need to get going. So I think, when we have our budget discussions upcoming in May, we'll add this to our list. It's just been hanging out there too long. And next, I'm going to take you through I'm going to show you kind of a mini version of the state of the city. So I have a video to show you here, and it's just a few minutes long, and I'm going to start it now. Okay, you guys still with me?
I am.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the presentation I gave at the State of the City. And it was, a lot of business focus because, the State of the City is always put on by the chamber. but I'm going to cover the survey from both the resident survey and a business survey. So we sent out surveys in the latter part of last year, beginning of this year. We sent some out to the businesses and we sent some to the residents. And we had, the way we did this was, it was done by a firm called Polco. And they sent out about 2,700 random surveys to, and this is why it's this is the scientific portion. They sent them out randomly. So nobody knew who was going to get the surveys. Polco sent those all out on their own. And out of the 2,700, we got 553 back. So that's considered statistically significant because once again, these were sent out randomly, and about 1,300 people filled them out as individuals. And those are what we call the opt-in people who filled those out. So in other words, they did it voluntarily and got online and did it voluntarily. Everybody else got them via mail. And then we also surveyed the business community as well. So the highlights from the business survey. So the respondents that we get, 73% of these respondents were residents that also were business owners. And you can see there, 71% have been in business here in Laguna Beach for over 10 years. And another 12% have been here more than 10. So that's a pretty significant contribution in terms of our business owners that are also residents here.
Excuse me, Sue. Are we supposed to be able to be seeing something on our phone or computer?
Yeah, you should see my presentation.
Can't see it at all. All I have is my pad from my phone.
Can everyone else see this?
I can
It's
see
certainly
it.
visible.
Looks nice on my computer.
Yeah,
Sue, when
yeah.
Sue, it's Lewis. When you're on your phone, you can swipe left or right. And if you swipe all the way to the left, you can see the presenter and their presentation.
I'm on my phone. I'm supposed to click left or right.
You swipe left.
Swipe with your
Oh.
finger.
Because you go through the tiles, you can either see other people or you come all the way to the left and you can see the presentation.
Sue, it's Paul. It looks very good, but about a third of the screen is blocked off with the Zoom callers.
Well, you have to click those off on your own.
Okay,
That's on the view.
thank
That's
you.
all. That's on you,
Yeah.
Paul. I can't fix that one. Okay.
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 Did you
Back
have
to
any
the
luck with
businesses.
any luck with your phone?
No,
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
no,
I've
that's
never
okay.
I've never tried to Zoom
Oh.
on my phone.
Yeah, it was good music, but I thought I should be seeing something maybe here.
Sorry about that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So, of course, the businesses reported a very high quality of community here. Just the quality of life, the cultural arts and music activities as a place to visit. Of course, it's always very high here. And businesses in general, their own feeling about the business outlook here in Laguna is pretty positive, which I thought was pretty interesting based on the fact that, we're just coming, we're sort of on I don't even know if we're on the backside of the pandemic, but we're in a different phase of the pandemic, maybe a little less intense than it was before, but I was surprised to see that. And then, of course, the challenges to having a workforce here is the same probably as just about every place else, that we don't have a lot of housing for people who work here. The livable wage is always a problem, and that's not just a problem for Laguna. That's kind of a global problem in our country. Not easy to park if you're coming into work here, and not a lot of childcare options. So businesses feel that parking and traffic could be improved in commercial areas. This is also not a surprise to any of us who've lived here a long time. So ease of bicycle traffic, ease of car travel, parking in commercial areas, and traffic flow on major streets, all pretty low positives and fairly high negatives. businesses are supportive of additional economic development services. So they don't think we're very good at retaining businesses. And they also don't think we're very good at attracting new businesses, and I'm not particularly supportive of in creating new jobs here. And I don't know that we're necessarily on the hook for job creation, but retaining existing businesses, there's some things we could do, and attracting new businesses, definitely. So we asked a series of questions. I call these custom questions. These were added on to the survey that are not what I would call, Polco city standard questions. And so these got all very high positives. Enhancing, they'd love to see the aesthetic and the landscaping, the streets look better, master plan of parking to provide additional parking throughout town, and to build some new parking facilities, all pretty high. Also pretty positive about regulations to streamline conversion of uses. And if you think when you think of conversion of uses, it really means permitting for businesses, making it easier to permit businesses. Providing opportunities for outdoor dining. Outdoor dining is popular, as is the promenade. New regulations to make sure building owners maintain their buildings. Very high. Rent control, of course, they would like to see some degree of rent control, and allowing more franchises in town, 57% negative. So now when we switch to the highlights from the resident surveys, there was a lot of data on the surveys, just a ton of data. And I'm just going to pull out some of the salient points that we used here at the State of the City. So not surprisingly, people feel very positive about the quality of life here in Laguna Beach, and also as a place to retire, very positive as well, a little less than the quality of life metric, but still very positive as a place to retire here. Residents are generally pleased with the services we offered by the business community. So the quality of businesses, residents say pretty high, and the vibrancy of the downtown and commercial area is pretty positive. So you see the little box there at the bottom. It says this is the last time we did a survey was in 2012. So in terms of results, we're up a little bit over the results in 2012. Traffic and parking, no surprise here, is a problem for residents as well as the business community. The transportation system is looked at as, relatively positive. Traffic flow on streets, negative. Ease of public parking in the city, negative. And ease of travel by car, fairly negative. So these are the questions we asked on the resident survey, which are pretty somewhat the same. Some of them are the same as we asked on the business survey. So taking over coast. So remember, these are sentiments. So people asked, well, you should have, asked how much it was going to cost. Mark, put in the survey how much it was going to cost. But we're asking for sentiments here. We're not asking specific questions at this point. So taking over Coast Highway from Caltrans is 85% taking over. So we've got I don't know why we did it like this, but we have a lot of taking over Laguna Canyon roads from Caltrans. So one is to underground the overhead utilities. That's very high. Bob really loved that. Make pedestrian improvements, 79%. To make high occupancy vehicle traffic and transit improvements, 78%. And then taking over Laguna Canyon Road from Caltrans to make bike improvements, also very high. The highest score we got on the survey was using the Irvine Bowl for more events. It was 92%, and then converting Lower Forest to a pedestrian plaza, still very high. Master plan to build new parking facilities, 75%, and additional parking throughout the town is 78%. So a lot of interest in parking. So I got some of these old pictures, which I thought were very interesting. This one with the Model T, which I think is Broadway. And then I think these other ones are for the 50s and 60s. So I think we all know what the existing issues are. It's just we have impacts on their roads and in our neighborhoods. Parking isn't very convenient. We have sort of a historic pattern of development, so it's just not easy to, find places to put parking. We're kind of inefficient in our parking. We have lack of, land availability, and we have a fairly walkable town, but it probably could be more walkable. So Bob Whalen and I formed a subcommittee several months ago to create a master parking plan. And then on March 8th, we had a listening session at the Suzie Q. We got a lot of interesting input, and we had a meeting the other day. And so we're going to factor some of that input into some of the things we're looking at. But we hope to come through with a master parking plan, later this year. And it's really not just people say, oh, you're just going to build structures. No, not necessarily looking just to build structures. We're looking at mobility. Where could we lease spaces that we don't currently lease now that might be proximate to an area that needs some help? What can we do to get some of how could we create parking in a way that we could get some of the people who working in our businesses into specific parking areas versus, the neighborhood. So we're looking at a number of different things. Mobility, I'm very interested in mobility. I really like the Laguna Beach local thing that we're doing. That's helpful. So there's a bunch of stuff we're going to be looking at, and we'll be coming, back to council, at some point in the next several months with some more ideas. So that is the end of this presentation, and I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm open for questions.
Okay, so Jean has control now of the Zoom meeting again. Is that correct, Jean?
That is correct.
Okay, so just a reminder, there is chat available if you want to submit a question. I have a number of questions on a number of topics, and some of them have been touched on during the presentation. So that was wonderful. And while it's still fresh in our mind, perhaps, the topic of the local transit, the Laguna Beach local transit. We have a question from Penny Milne about no city transport, including the new on-demand, has ever served the canyon despite the requests of the residents there. Why is that? Could it be changed? Transit to the canyon neighborhoods and out to El Toro Road, the Artisan, the Terraces, and California Cove would seem to be good for reducing traffic and be good for all. And my understanding is also the Laguna Beach local transit doesn't serve North Laguna. I was told by a North Laguna resident. So can you maybe?
It serves where we don't have the trolley. That we did a little pilot program, and so we served where we weren't running trolley services anymore. And so we've done a pilot program. It's actually gone very well. So this is one thing we can look at during budget time, is to expand that service, because I haven't gotten any bad feedback about it. Everybody really likes it. I've seen it being used all over town, and it's also kind of nice because it's got the bike racks on the back, so you can put your bike on there. I saw some guy the other day had his bike on the back. Then we have one that's wheelchair accessible, so people with disabilities or need a little extra help, you can do that. But yeah, I think we'll talk about that at budget time, because it is a popular program. And
so it will be expanded out to the canyon and to North Laguna.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about, it's just like everything, it's a matter of just money. So we'll have to figure it. I mean, Bob and I will probably talk about it during our parking thing, because it's part of mobility.
So parking is ongoing. Oh, so on your, you touched on that businesses, the vibrancy, the survey reveals that there's a positive feeling in general. So, but a recent resident called into a city council meeting and said something to the effect there are 58 closed businesses in the city likely not to return. Is that something you're aware of? And if there is such a number, what do you think the reasons are for the closed businesses?
Oh, well, I think, when you're on council, you get a lot of, you get kind of both sides. People like, we have too many people here. We don't need this many businesses. And then we have people like, oh, how come we have all these vacancies? So I think, the reason that we have vacancies is a number of things. One is we have some pandemic related closures. That's very clear. The second thing is the change in retail and the change in behaviors of people coming to visit here, or people that live here. There's some change in behavior here in terms of what people really like to do. Most people are online shopping. Everybody knows that. But, some of our retailers, when retailers are close to, when good businesses are close to one another in town, they do very well. Like if you talk to the guy that owns the Simple store on Coast Highway, and he'll say that I do well because Nick's does well. So it's kind of, this is dynamic that goes on. Another thing I think that's been very difficult is that we've made it difficult here is our rules for anybody to come in here to do business is very difficult, primarily because of the parking rules. It's hard to overcome those. And so that's, another thing that I think this has caused a bit of a problem. So I'd say those three things. And, but mainly I think what's changed is what people want to buy. And I don't think that's true just for Laguna Beach.
And perhaps the high cost of rents. Maybe
That's right.
discouraging
Well, yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
Yes, so, okay, all right, well, let's ask some Canyon questions.
Okay.
Okay, last year we had the former city manager, John Petig, he told us something we found kind of disturbing, and that the county was no longer accepting open space parcels from the city of Laguna Beach. So for years, the ongoing deal was that Orange County Parks would manage and the county would assume liability. We're not talking about the open space parcels that we're going to have the rezoning and that part. These are the other ones. And so has there been a resolution to the county no longer assuming liability for open space parcels that we want to?
I have not heard any resolution to that yet.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Laguna Beach is surrounded by 22,000 acres of natural open space. However, for their genetic health, the wildlife requires a functioning wildlife corridor to the much larger Cleveland National Forest. What is the city doing to make a functioning animal corridor at the 5 freeway that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of anything the city is doing.
Do you think maybe they could join in, because we know Laguna Greenbelt is working hard? Could the city perhaps become a more active member in that?
Well, I mean, I think
endeavor?
that's a discussion we should have to see what that all means. I don't know what all the implications of that might be. I think it's a good idea, but I don't know what all the implications are.
Okay, well, I was very happy to hear about the blue line streams being mapped, plans for that. Thank you for that. That's
Yep.
great. So, okay, I'm going to switch gears, but it's not necessarily unrelated to the canyon. So Laguna Beach Water District has no recycled water and irrigates Main Beach with drinking water. Every day we discharge about 2 million gallons of secondary sewage just 1.5 miles offshore next to valuable marine protected areas. New recycled water can reduce wildlife hazards, reduce ocean discharges, and mitigate drought conditions while improving homeowners' insurance rates. Generous state and federal grants help with funding as well. When will Laguna use this wasted water to install a perimeter wildfire prevention and suppression system to protect homes and the Greenbelt? We remain the only South County city without recycled water.
Yeah, is that a Mike Beenan question?
How could you tell?
Because I heard it so many times. Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're not. I mean, to do that perimeter recycle water around the whole city, it's cost prohibitive. You can't do that.
Actually, there was a study done and it came in at $30 million to pipe it to all of the parks, which would require tearing up the streets. What we're proposing is just the perimeter, which would probably be $15 million over 30 years. Because the life cycle of the system. So,
Yeah.
so I think that, Sue, in all due respect, I think that, we need to look ahead and plan for the drought. We can't protect ourselves through water conservation. We actually need more water during a drought, not less.
Mm-hmm.
The water that we're dumping in the ocean is really, I'm an ocean person. I've spent 30 years on committees throughout the city to promote protection of the ocean, which is the foundation of Laguna Beach, not the parking structures. And so, there's grants available for the pipes. I really want to encourage the city to look into this before the next wildfire. So thanks again for thinking about it.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Well, along the lines of fire prevention, there's another question. Do you have any information on the cause of the Emerald Fire? And what has the city done to increase criminal penalties for arson?
Yeah, so we don't have a resolution. We don't have a cause of the fire yet. That's the county. They're in charge of that. You know, I expect to hear, but we haven't heard yet. Arson, hang on a second. My computer just went haywire on me here. No. It's just like my computer. I had a little internet problem. Okay. I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question? Oh,
Criminal
yeah, we
penalties
can't,
for arson.
we can't do anything about that. Those are state laws.
Well, some of the things like up in, Alta Laguna Park, there were fines for people caught smoking
Oh,
up
yeah,
there.
we can fine, but we can't up the arson penalties because that's state law.
Right, well, we have to work on that because it's too close for comfort, some of these.
No, I know.
So, okay. Oh, how about some parking questions?
Okay.
Why are residents' shopper permits not valid in parking lots 11 and 12 between the festival and City Hall?
Yeah, that's one thing we're talking about. Actually, Bob and I were talking about that yesterday, and I think we should be able to, I don't know why that is. It's kind of like a legacy holdover or something. I'm not really sure why that is, but we were talking about that yesterday, at least in the nine months that are not summer months, everything but the summer, we should be able to do that. Because I noticed there's room in that parking lot.
Right. So, okay. Well, talking about parking again, it says there's been discussion lately about the library. And since the library occupies that expensive piece of land that is, quote, underused, and does the city want to buy it from the county? And if such an action were passed, how much parking would it provide? So buy the library for parking? Is that something seriously?
No,
being
this is a stupid rumor that somebody started. It really irritates me. We are buying the library. So we had a 50-year agreement with the county, 1970, and expired in 2020. We made a deal with the county to purchase the library because not only is it just the library parcel, there's 4 parcels there. So, they're kind of chopped up, but anyway, there's 4 parcels there. We made an agreement with the library because we had the right to purchase it, or else it remains with the county in perpetuity. So we are going to buy that. I think we're buying it for 4.2 million. The 4.2 million, the county will be holding for us for either the rehabilitation or remodeling of the current library, or to build a new library, which is a great deal. They're holding the money. We'll have control of those parcels. We'll have control of those back from the county. It doesn't make any sense for the county to own those parcels right in the middle of our town anyway. But we're not tearing it down and putting a parking lot. That's just a ridiculous rumor. And it's really irritating me because I've been spending the last 5 days answering that question.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're enlightening more people as you go along, because that's what it takes. So, okay, well, regarding fire prevention, we have the goats as part of the city's, arsenal of tools. And so last year there was evidence that the goats were not being treated well. So we believe that there should be a new contract run up with the rancher. So can you comment on the goats at this point?
I don't think once we did our homework, there was no mistreatment of the goats.
Oh, okay. Good to know. All right. So questions, this group was not the most supportive of the Dornan project out in the canyon, right?
Yeah.
So here are some questions. The Dornan project would have had to have gone to a vote if the Laguna Residents First ballot initiative was in place. Do you see the canyon differently than the Coast Highway when it comes to large scale projects over 22,000 square feet? Do you see a difference between the canyon and the Coast Highway?
Oh, yeah, of course. No, but I also don't see very many 22,000 square feet developments on Coast Highway either. I mean, the 22,000 square foot development that people mostly think of on Coast Highway is the old pottery place. That's a 22,000 square foot development. We don't have very many of those that are proposed. So no, I don't know what we would put out there in the canyon that would be 22,000 square feet, to be honest with you.
Right. So the prices of those units are not supportive of the art surveys taken by the city of Laguna Beach as to what the local artists need and can afford. Have you seen the prices advertised for the rents on those places?
No, I have not.
So the studios, which are approximately 498 square feet, have starting rents of $3,800. The 987 square foot two-story studio is starting at $8,000. And the two-story, two-bedroom at 1,314 square feet is starting at $9,500.
Where did you find
So-
that?
It's being advertised
On the MLS?
site. No, it's a website for Art Lofts Laguna Beach.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So they're beginning to
Well-
look for residents, I guess, wealthy residents, that would be. So,
No, I haven't seen
Good.
those.
yeah, well.
I can't think of very many artists that are going to be able to afford that.
No, I don't think so either.
Or residents,
Yeah,
people who are not artists.
no one. So, okay, so, all right, let's see. So let's see okay, I have some statements and then a question.
Yes.
We have obviously, an influx of tourists every year. And the city facilitates the additional self-imposed 2% bed tax, which now funds Visit Laguna's over $1 million budget a year. Wouldn't it be better to direct that money to support workforce or low-cost housing?
Well, that's up to the hotels. We can't redirect that money. The hotels, that's what the hotels are paying for. And they're funding it. That's how when we put that initiative forward, it's for visitor serving money. We can't take their money and put it for something else. I don't think legally we can do that.
Okay.
Now, what
So,
we do use Measure LL money, right?
Mhm.
We use Measure LL money for the impact of visitors. So, trash services, more police, more fire, those kind of things. We do use Measure LL money. We get about, I don't know, two and a quarter million, I think, every year for that.
So what about the parking fund, which receives revenues from residents' shopper permits and parking meter payments? The fund is discretionary, allowing the city council to spend for any purpose. And in the past, this has included police and fire department positions, transit buses and trolley, open space purchases, etc. Do
Mhm.
you agree that the parking fund should be used to protect the quality of life of Laguna Beach residents and to mitigate problems caused by visitors?
Well, last year we did this neighborhood and environmental protection plan, and we did that. I actually worked on that with the city manager. And the reason we did that was, if you remember, during COVID, we had those horrible impacts from visitors because people didn't have anything better to do or couldn't do anything except go outside. So we got our trails were impacted, our beaches were impacted. So we got a $1 million increase in parking revenue from the parking meters on Coast Highway from the Coastal Commission. That took us over a year to get that. And when we got that $1 million, that's what we used to fund that environmental protection and neighborhood protection plan. And we're going to continue to use that money.
That's good. Okay, so let's see, is there something in chat? Is the water course mapping to include the whole city? And will it go through Coastal Commission to
It has to go-
update?
It has to go through Coastal Commission.
And it'll include the whole city?
I don't know. We'll have to figure out the scope. I don't know for sure.
Well, we certainly would like Laguna Canyon. to be
Yeah, no, I
done.
get, no, I get that. I get that.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, regarding planned development in the canyon, the student union, I'm assuming, is that referring to an LCAD student union that's going to be over 22,000 square feet, probably?
I haven't seen the plans. I haven't seen the plans for that.
Okay. Are you in support of small scale and rural for the canyon is a question that comes up in other people's.
Well,
questions.
I'm in favor of neighborhood compatibility. So
Okay.
whatever neighborhood compatibility is, I'm in favor of that.
Good to know. Okay. Right, I'm winding down on the questions. So if you're going to put anything in chat,
Here's a question,
Uh,
Visit
oh.
Laguna with their Leave No Trace. I haven't heard any updates about it, but it's a good program. And I was just in Palm Springs the last 4 or 5 days, and they're using Leave No Trace there too. And I noticed they're really pushing it too. I mean, it's not just they're putting a card in the room or something like that saying just, don't leave anything, but they're really advertising it there. Because there were a lot of people there this past week too. So they're getting the same thing we get.
okay, all right, well, I am winding down on the questions. I think we've done
I could tell you a few things about Laguna Canyon.
Okay, we appreciate anything.
Yeah,
you
so I signed a letter today. So we're trying to get, we want to get the lines underground if at all possible in Laguna Canyon. And in order to do that, we have to do a project approval and environmental document first, basically an EIR. And so we have to do an EIR. It's about probably between $4.5 or $5 million to do that. So today I signed a letter that went to Feinstein, Padilla, and Michelle Steele. These are for earmarks. So to get earmarks for that money to do that. And then the other thing is we met with Bob Whalen and I met with Dave Min about, 3 weeks or a month ago, and he's got that on his radar as well. And then I'm meeting with Cotty on Thursday. So we're working hard to get that. We're also trying to get money for what we call the North Coast Intercept, which is a sewer bypass for the town. We need to get some money for that. And so we're working on that as well. And Fire Station 4, which is in South Laguna, trying to get money for that. But anyway, we're starting to work a little bit, trying to get some money for the work we'd like to do in the canyon. So it's an expensive proposition, but first we got to do the environmental studies, and we want to just do that first and see how that comes out. So we're working to get money on that.
Well, I know Bob Whalen's on board for that. So, and with your help, hopefully the two of you can pull this off.
Well, it's getting, it's scary.
Yep. So there's a question. A petition was signed by 56 residents to support the multi-use trail to Canyon Acres. Would you support continuing the multi-use trail from BE to Canyon Acres to serve the 334 homes in this neighborhood?
Yeah, I don't know how does it exactly go in through there though? I'd have to see it on the map. I don't really.
Right.
I'd have to see the map. I mean, I'd be willing to look at it, but I'd like to see the map.
Mm-hmm. So a question about speed limits, a question about lowering the speed limits on Coast Highway, and maybe that's not possible because that's a Caltrans road.
You can't lower the speed limits on Coast Highway unless we own the road.
Right. Okay, so, all right. All right. We have statements in chat, but we don't have questions sometimes. So
the question about riding the beach cruisers from Laguna Canyon Road, on Laguna Canyon Road from Canyon Acres downtown. If we ever do this, work on Laguna Canyon Road, we would have bike lanes.
Right, that was in your.
That's in the plan.
That was in your presentation, right?
Yeah, it's in the plan. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question about the Hotel Laguna. If it was open and operating as a hotel, their guests would pay perhaps $1 million a year in bed taxes. What is causing the delay in the Hotel Laguna opening as a hotel?
Yeah, so Gene, I asked Mark Weiner this question a couple of weeks ago, and they want him to, finish off his plan. So I think it's going to be coming to the Planning Commission in the next month or so, because they've got to bring that to Planning Commission now. So I don't know all the elements that he's gotten there. The Planning Commission already weighed in on, I think, the windows and the color on the outside, maybe the awnings or whatever, but they still have some more things to weigh in on. They weighed in on it as a concept, not as a Planning Commission determination. So it needs to go to planning next. Mark said it'd be there in the next month or so.
So I would also ask about reducing the number of public parking spaces. Well, you're in favor of increasing them, aren't you? If you
Well,
can.
I'm in favor of putting parking where it needs to be. So, if we need to have it, downtown somewhere so we can get people to not park in the neighborhoods, and I'm okay with that. If I'm okay with, trying to figure out how best to utilize the spaces that we do have. I'm also in favor of looking to lease more spaces that we could use. So it's hard. Parking is a hard topic in the city. It's just no easy answer. I don't
True.
think doing nothing is an answer though. So.
So, well, one last question that I don't see any further questions in chat, and the Burns Preserve. I have not actually been out there. So would you want to share a little bit about how to access that and when to go and what you?
So it's on,
participate in?
so the best thing I think would probably Mary, talk to Hallie and make an appointment, right? Make an appointment and go out and see it and have her staff take you on a tour. It's fantastic.
Is it like the Nick Center?
There really isn't parking there, a lot
No.
of parking, and it's on part of the trail system. It's
Mhm.
going up stair steps, on up and over to Lisa and Wood Canyons Wilderness Park.
Yeah.
So the best thing is to contact Laguna Canyon Foundation. They have a great website, lots of things. Very proud of where it's come after
Yeah.
all these years since
I don't blame you,
1990.
Mary. I
Yeah.
don't blame you. It's fantastic.
I want to thank Sue for representing the city on the Laguna Canyon Foundation board. That really keeps her in the loop of what is going on. Laguna Canyon Foundation has always remained very non-political, not like the rest of the Laguna groups. And that was part of the reason of forming Laguna Canyon Foundation. And all of our groups are represented on the Laguna Canyon Foundation board, including the city of Laguna Beach. So it's a great resource. Thank you very much, Sue, for doing
Thank
this.
you, Mary.
Right. So it's 8:00, and yes, I want to remind everybody, yes, Laguna Canyon Foundation exists because of people back in the 1989, era where Laguna Canyon Conservancy was a strong group at that time. We have, I think, come a long way. We've been around a long time, so I appreciate everybody tuning in and finding, the time to listen and participate when possible. So Sue, I can't thank you enough. I think you've given us some enlightening information, which is what people need it to do is, find out the answers to their questions, pay attention to the meetings. So thank you so much for answering all these questions. If there was something in chat that you felt, I think at this point, I think we want to wrap it up with the
Okay.
Canyon issues and pay attention to your messages from us about the May meeting, if it's going to be in person, and it's going to be a collaboration between a lot of the groups, including Laguna Canyon Foundation, the Greenbelt, the Sawdust. I think there's some exciting things that are going to be happening that we would like you all to share and participate in. So Sue, once again, thank you very much. I wish you continued success as mayor, and thank you for all you're doing on our behalf. And thank you for being here this evening. So good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everybody. That was
Good
great.
night. Thank you.
Bye.
Good attendance.